All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussion, continuing Hulk Hogan's career. But this is going to be getting into Hulk Hogan in 1994 when he actually makes his return to wrestling in
Yeah.
WCW. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's jump right into this snoozer. Honestly, when he left WWE, I really didn't think he would go to the competition. Like I really thought for him it was over, that he had his run. He was now trying to make movies, and he was doing a television show. And right around the time in '93 into '94, when Bischoff officially took over WCW, he was kind of like the silent thing. Nobody really knew that he was the boss. He thought, he had a great idea. Hogan's working in down in Disney and filming the show.
Yeah,
The
Thunder in
WCW,
Paradise.
yeah, WCW was doing the Saturday night shows at the MGM with the ridiculous rotating ring. I never understood that. And so he decided to try to approach Hogan to see, hey, would you be willing to consider to come to WCW? The talks at first were like, no, Hogan's like, nah, brother, I don't want to. I don't
And
want to
I
do it or
believe it was
whatnot.
Flair. I think Flair made the introduction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because Flair and a bunch of those guys would show up on the show as well. So, and they were backstage, they were all talking and whatnot. I mean, Gene Okerlund even did a couple of interviews with Hogan on the set, and it took a lot for Bischoff, but finally,
Well, a lot of money.
after yeah, a lot of money and a lot of incentives, I'm sure. He I think the what enticed him to come back was finally the Hogan Flair match that he was offered in the contract. And on May 28, 1994, on an episode of WCW Saturday Night, Hogan actually tore up his Thunder in Paradise contract and stated he was now willing to quit the show and return to wrestling. And Okerlund actually did a television survey to see if the fans, if they were still Hulkamaniacs. The biggest thing, and I remember watching this because I was watching the Saturday night episode of the WCW, and don't ask me why. But after negotiating with Bischoff on June 11th, they actually put it across the screen that Hulk Hogan had signed with
Yeah.
WCW. And I remember Shivani was acting like a 7-year-old at Christmas, like he just got the brand new Nintendo.
You know what's
Oh,
interesting about this? Hogan said that he would never compete against Vince.
exactly.
He said he would never
Yeah,
never compete against Vince. He was basically he was done with wrestling earlier in the year '94. He actually goes over to Japan. He wrestles Naka something. I forget the guy's name.
Masahiro Tanaka.
Fujinami or something. Was it Fujinami?
Oh, it's Tatsumi Fujinami. Yes.
He has a match with him earlier in the year. To not to get too sidetracked. I don't know if you remember this. Right when Hogan left in '93, they came out with the Royal Rumble for Super Nintendo.
Yes.
And I remember Hogan wasn't in the game. I remember I was pissed. It's right around the time that Hogan left. It might have been the same time he left. But then I had it for Super Nintendo. I didn't have Genesis. And a couple months later, the Genesis version came out. And Hulk Hogan was in the Genesis version.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was pissed off, man. I was like, how come? I was still a Hulkamaniac. I still loved Hogan. And I'm like, how come the Genesis version has Hulk Hogan? And
Yeah, I never understood that. I thought just maybe because it was a different console that they put a different roster.
They did something like Super Nintendo had some exclusive characters, and then Genesis had some exclusive characters too. I thought that was the last we were going to see of Hulk Hogan. Honestly, was that Genesis?
Yeah,
the Genesis version.
After King of the Ring '93 and he left, I really thought it was over. He had a good run, and then all of a sudden.
But I think that Thunder in Paradise wasn't good. I think it was probably going to get canceled because the ratings were probably low.
It was a shit show.
And so I used to watch it every week. I already told you that.
I did too. I mean, I really had to force myself to sit through it. But
I loved it, man. As a kid, I mean, I'm 12, 13 years old, however old I was, and I was all about watching. Me and my brother used to watch, like I said, but it's on Channel 9 in New York. But yeah, so Hogan couldn't turn down the money, and he, it was a big back and forth negotiation. Apparently, he got a tremendous contract. Like,
oh yeah,
he got a contract like nobody ever got. Like, he got like revenue shares, I think, of the paper. I don't know if I'm saying it right, of the pay-per-view buys. He got like X amount of dollars for every pay-per-view that he appeared on. He got a certain percentage of the pay-per-view, I think, which was probably unheard of at that point.
Yeah.
I think he shows up at one of the Clash of the Champions. It's Clash of the Champions, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess he challenges Flair or whatever, and he was kind of getting booed. I think it was in the Carolinas, this Clash of the Champions. They were kind of booing him, like
Yeah,
it was
because their
50-50.
boy in WCW, their Hulk Hogan is Ric Flair.
Yeah, yeah. Also, they were in Flair country too.
Oh, definitely.
To
Yeah,
be fair, um, yeah, and then so he basically just shows up and gets the title shot right out of the gate.
I didn't understand that, and to me, Ric Flair has always been the WCW guy, the guy. If it's not Sting, it's Flair, and then you got this other guy coming in to automatically just take it over.
Hmm.
And the first match he's going to get is a world title shot against Nature Boy, and that was right around the time because you remember they had the two belts at the time. They had the international title and they had
Yeah.
the WCW title.
Uh-huh.
And Hogan made it clear that he only wanted one belt, and he wasn't going to face Rick Rude for it because that at the time Rude was the champion. Sting beat him.
What was that
for
same
it.
night? I think it was the same night that he shows up. Is that unification match
Mhm.
between
Yeah.
the two?
And he said, I don't want two belts, and I'm not facing Rude. And so now Sting loses it to Flair. So now we know where we're set up there. And then we went to you go to the famous contract signing in WCW headquarters. I think Ted Turner was there. Probably didn't even know who the hell neither one of them was because, he's wrestling. He don't know shit. And, you got Flair going, big man, this is a
Well,
long time coming.
how about they had that big parade for him in MGM Studios,
Yeah, he was
Disney
in the
MGM.
convertible. Jimmy Hart is there.
They made a big
There was a
thing.
couple of wrestlers that were there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought that was a little ridiculous. Like, I'm like, oh my God, you signed a wrestler. I mean, Jesus. I mean, there was a big turnout though with the crowd, and Hogan, of course, Hogan now looks real slim.
Well, he wasn't juicing anymore.
He wasn't doing he wasn't seeing Zaharian anymore.
No.
So
yeah, he looked completely different.
Yeah.
But that bash at the beach was huge. I believe it set a record, I think, for WCW pay-per-view buys, I believe.
Yeah. At that point, it became the most successful one.
Wasn't Shaq in his corner? Because I think it was in Orlando.
You got Mr. T, you had Shaq.
Yeah. Was Rodman there too?
No, not yet. No, Rodman was the all NWO.
No, he showed it before that. Rodman showed before that.
Oh, he did? I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
Well, by that point, what was he? A Piston still? Because it wasn't a Bull.
Spurs. I think he was on the Spurs.
Oh yeah, Spurs. Yeah. So yeah, he had all this manpower in his corner fighting Ric Flair, and I mean the match was tremendous. But we all knew what the outcome was going to be, and his first match beats Ric Flair and becomes the WCW champion. And I'm like, oh God, like nothing's changed.
And then he continues to just beat Flair on the house show circuit.
I think they've had a total of 19 matches, and Hogan's won 18 of them.
Yeah,
how bad is that? Yeah. I mean, you made Ric Flair look like nothing. And not to sidetrack here, but next month, sometime in July, Ric Flair is going to have his last retirement match, and I believe Hulk Hogan has signed on to do it.
That's a rumor, but
Ricky Steamboat backed out, and Hogan said he was interested. Now, yeah, you're right. I don't know if he signed.
Physically, I don't know.
I don't see neither one of them. Come on.
No.
Did they want to be like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler? You want to die in the ring? I mean, what do you have to prove? At 73 years old, what do you have to prove?
I don't know.
That you still got it? Okay, yeah, we all know you still got it. You wrestled a few more years in TNA when you left WWE. It's no. He also a couple of years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it a couple of years ago that he had to fight for his life in the hospital? He almost died.
He said he's cleared. I don't. We'll talk about this another time in a flare.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Hulk Hogan's now the champion. This was they called it. It was the dream match, and it was because WWE botched it. 2 years prior. Again, we don't know the reason why. So going further now, you go to August '94 on the Clash of the Champions 28 in Cedar Rapids. Hogan actually defended the title again against Flair, but this was the loss. He lost by countout.
Mm-hmm.
The good old countout DQ thing. Their feud culminated actually at Halloween Havoc, at least.
But then he get
this round of the feud.
Doesn't he like get jumped by the Man in Black before that? Something.
Yeah, he during the time period he was there was a mystery person all dressed in black with the hood and everything. That was he actually I think he took his knee out because Hogan was hobbling to the ring. Even at Halloween Havoc, he was still trying to sell the ring that. And it's funny because actually that night at Halloween Havoc, we find out who it is. And the special guest referee was Mr. T. We talked about this. We did the Halloween Havoc review. This was a, oh my God, what the hell match. The cage almost collapsing on them. Just the idiocy going all around. And we find out that the man in black was Brutus Beefcake, yet another friend turning on Hogan.
Yeah, they jumped him. There's a Dungeon of Doom. I don't know if they were officially the Dungeon of Doom yet, but
not yet. No, they were like more like the Three Faces of Fear, pretty much.
Yeah, and they beat him up
because Kevin Sullivan had it out for Hogan because of his brother. Yeah, oh Jesus. Then they one of Beefcake's many gimmicks of being now the Butcher, and at least he did his friend a solid. I will say this: at Starrcade, Beefcake never ever got a world title shot in any organization he's been in, and he actually gets one here. Now, granted, the character was weak at the time, at least in my opinion, in WCW because they hadn't done much with him. But at least Hogan at least got Bischoff to approve it to where, okay, we'll do this, storyline that you turned on me, and he gets to be in the main event at the pay-per-view.
That's a disgrace.
It was.
Good for him, but Brutus the Barber Beefcake in the main event.
Of all the people,
at Starrcade, which is their WrestleMania, basically.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been Kevin Sullivan, to be honest. That would have. Well,
I remember before that it was Hogan and Sting versus Kevin Sullivan and somebody else, I forget, in a tag team match. It was like a month. It was like a month before. I think it was at the Clash of the Champions.
Yeah. Oh, it actually Hogan team with Sting. It was Dave Sullivan. Hogan team with Sting and Dave Sullivan. They defeated Kevin Sullivan, Avalanche, and the Butcher.
There you go.
At the time, they were the Three Faces of Fear.
Yeah.
Now, I love you go from Earthquake, Avalanche, and really that gimmick wasn't bad. The way Earthquake looked wasn't bad, but when they started messing around with him and then calling him Shark, and then just they really treated Earthquake like crap going forward. Yeah. But when he first got there as Avalanche, he was getting in the ring with Savage, with Sting, with Hogan. He actually looked good. And then they just threw him to the side, man. It was pitiful.
Going into that Starrcade, that's when Macho Man signs. Macho Man ends up coming over. What's funny is that Hogan actually got me into WCW. I didn't really watch WCW until Hogan got there. I would watch it here and there because it was kind of hard. I couldn't find it on TV for some reason. It was on Channel 11 for a little while.
Then they went to TBS.
It went to but at the time I didn't have cable.
Yeah,
it went to channel. Then it was on Channel 2, really late at night. WCW. It wasn't Saturday night. I forget the name of this. I think it was Worldwide.
Yeah,
they used to give it really late at night, at midnight or 1 o'clock. I don't know what time it was, but I used to watch. I used to stay up just when Hogan got there. And I remember when Macho Man got signed. And then I think Macho Man helps him at Starrcade. I think that's when they kind of joined.
Yeah, and then the following month it was the next Clash of Champions 30 that the two of them teamed up together.
The Mega Powers reunite.
Yep, and defeated Kevin Sullivan and the Butcher.
Yep.
So it was good to see Savage there. When Vince McMahon gave the farewell on Monday Night Raw, that Savage didn't resign. I kind of had a feeling at that point. I'm like, okay, I could see the winds picking up and changing here. These guys are now going to start going over there because if Vince is not going to use them, Eric sure is. And Savage still had a lot to offer in the ring. Vince didn't see that. That's on him because I think putting him in the commentator booth was ridiculous. So he signs with WCW. He shows up on WCW Saturday night.
Yep.
And everybody went nuts, including myself. And the Mega Powers reunited. And then I was okay. Well, I'm watching it, and I'm like, how long before he turns on Hogan?
Okay, because it's only a matter of time.
Always, man. So going forward from there, Hogan's next feud, and I actually like this feud because it went for a while. He feuded with Vader.
And I remember. I think that feud kind of started right before Starrcade, and the Butcher ends up getting the title shot instead of Vader, which is stupid. It should have been Vader versus Hogan at Starrcade. Think about that. I remember he attacks him. I forgot when it happened. It's just so long. I haven't seen this in so many years. But I remember Hogan no sold the Vader bomb. He got right up. Yeah.
That was bad.
It was right before they fought.
It's almost like he was trying to bury him. Because at this time, Hogan and Savage are now burying. Remember, they helped bury Austin because Austin's last fight
Yeah.
in WCW was against Savage in a U.S. title tournament. Next thing you know, the rumor is that Hogan got in Bischoff's ear and they fire him by FedEx, which is why the animosity between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I thought was crap because Austin was a tremendous wrestler, and imagine the feuds they could have had at that point. I mean, it was just Hogan had his way with the roster, which I didn't, and you could see it when while he's in WCW, and the guys that were there making it happen are now slowly disappearing. And so, with his next feud being Vader, they fought at Super Bowl V.
And Vader was believable as a monster heel.
Oh yeah.
Like when he was fighting Hogan, like you felt like, oh man, this guy could hurt Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan did actually do a pretty good job, like during that match. I remember him saying, "Oh, the man's too strong. The man's too strong." I remember all of that. I remember the promo leading into it. He wrestled the Giants, he wrestled the Legends or whatever. Now he fights Vader. But I remember Vader got payback because when he does the leg drop, Hogan Vader just kicks out. Like quick.
I actually remember that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That that was supposed to be a 2.
That was payback.
Count there.
That was payback. It was payback. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So he at Super Bowl he won. Hogan won by disqualification.
Of course. I don't think he ever loses to Vader, right?
No,
I don't think he ever loses.
No, he beat him. I believe he beat him every time. Well, I'm sure I'm wrong, but I do from memory. I think he won them all. He won by DQ because remember Ric Flair returned.
When does the Renegade show up? Was that Super Bowl? I forget when he shows up.
Oh my God, the wannabe warrior.
Yeah, he shows up right around that time. I remember.
I think it was in '95 when he came in.
No, it was 90. Well, this is 95 right now.
Yeah. So yeah, he came in that year.
It was terrible. I remember that they promoted him. They had him like they would show his shadow. They try to make you get the impression it was the Warrior.
Yeah.
They did everything within their power to make you believe it was the Ultimate Warrior. And I remember that was a rumor, but I had a feeling. I was like, nah. And as a matter of fact, I think we thought Warrior was dead at this point. It was the urban legend.
Yeah, that rumor was going around. I'm like, what?
That he was dead. Yeah.
Yeah, and because in 1992, everybody was trying to say, oh, that's another Warrior. The original's dead. I'm no. I'm like, he just stopped taking steroids for a little bit.
But I know Renegade shows up and he helps him out, and
he was pathetic. I mean, they did everything from the face paint to the attire to make him look like the Warrior. And I'm like, bro, no.
It just didn't work.
No, it didn't. He didn't even. What was it? About a year? Not even. I know he became champion. He was television champion.
Yeah, rest in peace too. I know he passed away a number of years.
Yeah.
So they fought at Uncensored. I remember that was a terrible match. Hogan versus Vader.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
It was a non-title strap match. I mean, why not put the belt up?
You know how stupid this match is, though? There's a couple things that are stupid about this match. They said it was, I forget what they say. Something that it wasn't, Uncensored wasn't supposed to be sanctioned, but then it was kind of sanctioned. And then they get into the match, and then he beats him, but he beats Flair. He tied up Flair's hand to the strap, and Hogan starts touching the turnbuckles.
Yeah.
And he wins. I'm like, but
how's that possible?
But he was fighting Vader. How could he defeat Flair? Because Flair interferes, obviously.
Yeah. Welcome to WCW.
Oh Lord.
I mean, if we started going into all the botches in matches, we'd be here forever.
Yeah, it was a mess. I actually, believe it or not, I want to go back and I don't know if you're up for it. I want to review all of WCW pay-per-views from 94 and 95 because it was so ridiculous and over the top.
That's fine. I mean, I've sat through them already like once when the network put them in just to see what
we'll
they
do
were.
It. We'll go through it. We'll go through all the pay-per-views.
They were pitiful. I'll give you that. But they were. But I will say.
But it was entertaining.
Which ones were worse, 95 WWE or 95 WCW? Because both years it was really bad. Yeah. The business was bad on both ends.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not the wrestlers, it's the execution and the booking.
The booking, yeah. Kevin Sullivan, thank you.
Anyway, at Slamboree, Hogan then teamed again with Savage. They defeat Ric Flair and Vader yet again. Now, because of the controversial ending caused by Flair at Uncensored, Hogan's feud with Vader culminated in a steel cage match for the title at Bash at the Beach when Hogan was, which was won by Hogan escaping the cage.
I remember that. I think, please guys, don't kill me in the comment section. I think this is when the Giant shows up. He shows up somewhere around.
I think he was in the seats at this point. They were starting.
He showed up and he took off the shirt and he He threw it at him, and it was supposedly it was Andre the Giant's shirt or something. And
Because supposedly the
you
gimmick
know
was
who this
supposed to be
is?
this was
It
his
was his
son.
father. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
Andre was his father. I know it's somewhere around here.
yeah, it
So
is because it's not too long before the Giant gets the title shot,
yeah,
and I mean, it's funny, and it's actually good for Paul White because think about it. He was working it. He was out. He just happens to go to the gym, and all the boys are working there, and he starts talking with Hogan, and they convince him to join WCW, and not only that, Hogan gets him in his first match a world title
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
Now Hogan's used to burying people, so when he did this, I was kind of surprised. I'm like, wait a minute, did you find Jesus or something? You're used to burying people.
Yeah.
Why are you giving this guy a title shot right off the
He
bat?
must have really liked him.
I guess so. But in any event, on September 4th, 1995, day that'll live in infamy, that's the day of the Monday Night Wars starting.
Excuse me.
On the inaugural Monday Nitro, Hogan actually, if I can get the words out, successfully defended the title against, good Lord, Big Bubba Rogers,
No,
aka Big Boss Man,
that might have been the
aka
night.
Man of a Thousand Gimmicks.
That might have also been the night of Pastamania. I think that's when Pastamania started.
Yes, and that's when I believe, in my opinion, that's when Hulkamania started declining.
Yeah, you could kind of see like that's
Pastamania. I mean, gee, come on.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean that night's going to be known for the famous Lex Luger's return.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't Luger challenge him? Luger got like they had like a
Yeah, they did the whole. This is where the big boys play and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shut up with that. Every 5 minutes, it was like they were overselling, especially Mongo, overselling, and Dusty Rhodes was too. The big boys play. The big boys play. No, okay, we got it.
WCW with the big boys play.
Yeah, we got it. Nobody was below 250 pounds will ever get a title shot. We got it. I mean, Jesus. They just embedded, kind of like how they did Tuesday in Texas at Survivor Series. They just kept throwing it at you every 30 seconds to get you to, okay, we got it. You got a pay-per-view in 6 days. So, okay, we got it. The big boys are here. Yeah, great. Awesome. Move on. Commentating was very weak back then.
No, I hear you.
If it wasn't Bischoff and Heenan, and if they had anybody else, it was bad. And it got even worse when Mark Madden got, oh my God. Anyway. The only guy I liked, and I forgot his name, he was the one that knew all the cruiserweights, all the backgrounds, the nationalities. I could see his face, but I don't remember his name.
Tony Schiavone?
No, not that idiot. It was another guy, and he wound up going to TNA and being a announcer for them as well. He was like Jim Ross almost. He was very informative of their background and their history, and he would always tell you about it, especially when it came to like the J Crown Cup, the Mysterio and his background in Lucha Libre. I just Mike Tenay, that's who it is. I liked him. He was very informative, but Tony Schiavone was a moron. Any event, on September 11th, 1995, on Nitro, Hogan was supposed to defend the title against Vader, but due to a backstage altercation with Orndorff, and this is one that got Vader going to both bye-bye. He was replaced by Lex Luger, who issued a challenge to Hogan a week prior. Following the altercation, Vader parted ways with WCW, and then Hogan beat Luger. So I do remember hearing about that. They actually said it on TV to kind of bury Vader at that point, and I was like, wow, that's pretty messed up. Kind of like how Vince did it to Austin when he left, and then shortly after that, Vader signed with WWE. But yeah, I think it was. Honestly, if he didn't have that altercation, I really think WCW would have parted ways with him anyway. I mean, I think that was a Hogan thing as well. He didn't want him there anymore. He wanted to handpick his roster at this point.
All right, so that kind of wraps up this part. The next episode, we're gonna get into Halloween Havoc and Dungeon
Monster Trucks,
all that fun stuff. All right, so
my God.
Yeah, it's gonna get good. So you guys let us know what you think. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.